Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, welcome to Love Your Body, Love Your Life, my podcast, TV show. My name's Jenna. I'm the author of the book titled Love Your Body, Love Your Life. You can find my book on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. And I'm always really excited to be here, you guys. I cannot do this as much as I'd like to do because I have a full-time gig, which is real estate. And so I haven't been able to do a show in like a couple weeks because I actually just had a real estate deal close. It was like a 15-day escrow. So I was in kind of like the eye of the tornado. It was a really fast transaction. If anybody knows about real estate, knows that it can get pretty intense. And so I'm always just excited to be here. So with that said, I just want to say that my intention for the show is to bring quality, some content that I can really stand behind, because obviously right now I can't bring quantity as much as I want. I want to do a show every week if I could, but right now it doesn't seem like I'll be able to do that quite yet. So with that said, I can definitely stand behind my next guest. Her name's Kerry. Kerry Walker-Collins. She is a certified Reiki master, licensed esthetician, energy healer, spiritual teacher, intuitive coach. She does Reiki, which I read on her website. Reiki is a Japanese word, and Kerry is going to talk all about this. But I read that it's Rei, God's wisdom of the higher power, and Ki, life force energy. So I love that. I love that, because I feel like we can all use some good life force energy to calm our minds down most of the time. Like I said, I was just in the eye of the storm closing this deal, and I definitely felt my energy was up. My heart was racing. I was a little bit stressed out. So for anybody that's feeling that way, especially with the holidays coming up, which happy Halloween, by the way, before I forget to say that, we're pre-recording this show right before Halloween. But when it comes out, you'll hear it on Halloween. So anyways, if anybody's feeling stressed out, Kerry and Reiki healing is definitely something that you should check out. So Kerry, welcome to the show. Hello.
Hi, everybody. That was such a great introduction, Jenna. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. I know you're super busy all the time. Kerry's located in Laguna Beach, California. I'm located in Newport Beach, California. So I'm about, 30 minutes, like on a trafficy day to get to you. The last time I saw you, I texted you like last minute, and you were like, oh, I can take you at 8:30 a.m. And I'm like, oh my God, I am not a morning person at all. People that know me well, Kerry, know that I'm like a night person, so I'm like, oh my God. And then you're like, okay, I can take you at 9 or something like that. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll see you tomorrow morning. But it was so what I needed. And I feel like people don't even really know that they need this kind of work sometimes until they lay on your table, on like a table like yours. So tell me exactly, first of all, how did you discover Reiki?
Okay, so it was been a while now. It was 2007. I had made a career change, and the universe put me hands-on. That's why the esthetician coupling with the Reiki. And as soon as I got hands-on, I was doing a lot of other practices behind that, Kundalini yoga, prayer and meditation every day for probably over an hour. But somebody had asked me if I was doing Reiki on them before I was, and that's how it started. I had never heard of it, but something inside resonated with me that day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I love Kundalini yoga, by the way.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Yes. So yeah, if anybody's listening and be like, what's Kundalini yoga? Just Google it and
Yeah,
literally look it up, because that could be something I feel people can do from home as well
for
if they
sure.
can't get to an expert like you. So okay, so somebody thought you were doing Reiki on them and you're like, what is that? And then you got certified?
Yeah. So it was just one of those stories that I tell over and over and over again when I'm teaching class, because it's just, you can't make it up.
Yeah.
I had a mentor. I had many spiritual women in my life at that time, because I had a major life transition. And one of the mentors actually asked me if I wanted to take Reiki classes with her, probably a week or 2 weeks after that first comment. And it was several years that I had thought that maybe I had mentioned it to her. And I found out years later that I didn't. It was just something that was on her heart to do. And when she was thinking of someone that might want to do that with her, it was me. So it was just completely guided.
Yeah.
And honestly, I did not have a Reiki session before I got trained in Reiki. So a little bit unusual. Most people have a session and then are so intrigued by it, they want to know more or possibly do it themselves. It resonates so deeply. But my case was a little bit opposite. I was just led right into taking the training courses. And then I was already hands-on as an esthetician. So it just easily incorporated.
Mm.
A little bit unheard of at the time. I feel like I'm not sure very many estheticians were doing Reiki and incorporating that, but that's just what I did. And now it's a little bit more. You do hear of it. Lots of estheticians come for Reiki training, and massage therapists, nurses, doctors, everyone. But it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was the first time I had heard of that too, that combination, like
Yeah.
facial and Reiki. Okay, so you get on the table, Kerry, and you have your first Reiki session.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about that. Was there anything profound? Like, what did you feel? Or
In my first Reiki session, or me first doing a Reiki session?
in your first, your
Okay.
first.
Yeah. So my first session, I was surprised. I am the kind of client or patient, even with doctors, that they put me on any kind of table and I'm thinking, and possibly even with my to-do list. And I think I was very, very type A personality. So it was profound for me because it automatically put me in a space that I was not familiar with at that time. Even Kundalini yoga was very active. So only in Savasana, that in yoga, do you feel that kind of nothingness space. It would put me there almost immediately. So I feel that that was partly due to the fact that the universe had me learn Reiki before I got Reiki. But that has been my clients' experience over and over and over and over again. So a lot of people that can't get out of their heads, it just kind of puts you in that space where you're not even sure where you went for at least half of it, maybe 45 minutes of the hour. Or longer, depending on how long your session is. But that's what I noticed first. Then I started noticing I had kind of an undiagnosed, I'd always tried to get it diagnosed as something, but a PTSD response from somewhere. Very, very sensitive. They're always on high alert, very jumpy. And that's when I started noticing almost that starting to unravel. So it seemingly retrained my energetic system to just be in more of that space of not having to do so much, and just be more in that being space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even today, we still can default into kind of our original way. And I just know I have to up it. I have to up what I'm doing again to get me back into that space, because life gets busy and we're getting pulled in so many different directions that before we know it, we can get right back to that spot. But Reiki's been my number one for that for me. probably one of the most, the reasons why I was so passionate about spreading it and working with others and teaching others in it.
Yeah.
Really a big amount of my motivation was because of that.
So I feel like if anybody's listening, they're going to be like, okay, well, what exactly is Reiki? And I don't even, I mean, you can talk about it, Kerry. Obviously, you're the expert, because
Mhm.
I know that I wouldn't have probably the exact, like I was trying to make a video, right? And post it on my social media. And I did about, I don't know, 5 of them. Cause I'm like, I don't know. It's a feeling. It's more of a feeling that you have.
So true. So
It's
true. And I mean, it's been 18 years since I've been practicing Reiki, and I think every year that goes by, it gets a little bit harder to explain. It's funny. It should get easier, right?
yeah.
It doesn't. It's you did a beautiful explanation with the Reiki. I mean, the word itself means exactly what it is. It's a spiritually guided life force energy. There's a misnomer that it's religious based. It is actually no dogma attached to it. So it's very, universal or neutral in that nature. But it is life force energy. So it's based on the notion that the practitioner is channeling that energy and into the client or to ourselves, depending on who we're working with, or our friends and family. So when our bodies are full of that life force energy, we're less likely to be in any type of dis-ease. So we would be less likely to even become very ill on the other side, perhaps, because we're constantly filling up that depleted energy. Had lots of discussions about that lately. Just sometimes being around a lot of people, sometimes being around people that are also going through things, trying to do too much in a day, being pulled in too many different directions. So it's a way that we can fill ourselves back up, so we can be full in order to continue to serve people. When we don't do that, we know now, I mean, there's so many studies based on this and stress, that's when we are more likely to become ill in some fashion, first emotionally and then bodily. But that's the main thing. If you look up Reiki online, most people are going to find that it's a stress reduction technique. That's the number one effect that pretty much everybody feels immediately. Which would answer why I had such a great response to it with myself, with the anxiety and the post-traumatic stress disorder type feeling that I always had.
And everybody is pretty much walking around in some sort of stress. I mean, life is stressful. It comes with stress, but not chronic stress. People don't have to be in chronic stress.
It's true. It's true. I mean, we just get so bombarded. I don't know if there's ways to really avoid all stress. I mean, I feel like to think that I don't live a very stressful life, but just doing things. I mean, sometimes computers and emails and passwords and so many things that we're having to think about all the time. I don't know anyone that couldn't benefit from Reiki in some form.
Yeah. No, 100%. I feel that that's 100% true. And especially, not to say that men are not stressed out, but I feel like women are more in their masculine energy than ever these days. And and I get it. We have to do things. But for women, especially, I feel like they need to get more balanced out in their feminine energy. And I feel like the stress reduction that Reiki can bring to the body and the mind. Oh my gosh. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think that our bodies were necessarily equipped for the type of work that we're all doing now. Being pulled in all these multiple different directions, and we were always better multitaskers. That's how we're made, but just kind of inundated, and the expectations and going above and beyond. And I mean, men are very attracted to this as well. I have several male clients. It's interesting. They fall asleep a lot more on the table than my females do.
Okay.
So it's funny. They're like, I don't know what just happened, but that was amazing. Even the doctor that I originally worked for, he was like, I don't really know. I don't even want to wrap my mind around this, but I love it. So it just brings you down into that, I think, meditative state so quickly and so easily. That's where we need to be. That's where we need to be. That's a state that we need to be in order to release the energy that's not needed and not store it. We're not meant to store it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I thought about that, Kerry. I'm like, I wonder how many men she sees, like,
Yeah.
are men into this? Because I know, it's different. It's non-traditional kind of,
Yeah.
healing work. And I just felt like, I wonder if men are open to it, but they are. That's awesome.
They are. I mean, I would definitely say it's less. It's probably a third of my clientele. But yeah, I mean, if they love massage, they're going to like Reiki.
Okay.
I feel like that's a good rule of thumb with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to get into a little bit of, like, let's say somebody is really sick. Like, do you see clients with like major health issues? And if
Yeah.
you do, what's the feedback from them? Like, do they find you because they're at their last end, or are they just like, how do they, what's the feedback on, I guess, them, feeling something that, oh, wow, this can work, this non-traditional way of healing something in my body? Because I feel like most of the time it's an emotional situation that doesn't get resolved. And then it gets tucked away into the body energetically. And then, we just kind of attract from that space versus a wholeness, well-being space. And then it just kind of compiles. So I don't know what your take on that is, but my question was, if you have people that come in with major health conditions, I guess what I'm trying to do is I would like to speak to somebody that's really adamant about trying a different modality.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if I have the exact same take as all Reiki practitioners do. I'm just going to preface it with that. I'm very down the middle as far as like medical and then the sort of Eastern more philosophy. From my experience since in the 18 years, is that it's both. And so I will say that I believe that I have worked on a lot of patients with cancer or clients with cancer. And that would be probably my most major, I would think. I can probably think back on some other things, but that's the one that seems to be attracted to me most. Just a little side note, it's interesting because it's not on my website anywhere that I have worked with that a lot. And it's just almost brings tears to my eyes how many times God will bring them to me. And the miracles that I've seen have all been doing both. So I just want to preface it with that. We do learn with Reiki while we're taking classes that it's not in place of medical treatment, but I feel that I just lean a little bit more that direction. I have no idea what I would do personally if I were in that situation, but the miracles that I've seen have always been doing both. So that being said, yes, I almost always have a very current client that I'm working on that is either going through chemo, radiation, or the other things that are happening in between. Lots of breast cancer clients. And what I think is most fascinating, and I didn't even think I'd be talking about this today, so interesting, Jenna, is that my first two clients that had cancer were both breast cancer, and they were both physicians. And I might actually cry in this interview. The very first one, I'll just speak of her, I won't use her name. I asked at one point how she knew to do Reiki, and she told me, and this was probably, about 10 years ago, that she had learned about it in medical school. So that was amazing that she had an entire class on, I forget what she called it, not intentional healing, but alternative methods, I think was more the terminology that she used. So, and she had done an entire research paper around it. So she knew that if anything were to happen. So in that particular case, she also had heart issues in her past. She was very young. I think she was mid to late 30s. and it was on top of her left side. So it was just interesting that the Reiki will always seek, and they're reminding me right now that she wasn't my first one. There was somebody else, but she's the one we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
That it will seek I will watch it in the sessions, seek the origin. And so I didn't know about the fact that she had some type of heart surgery earlier on when she was younger, I think in her 20s. But it was interesting that was the same side as where the cancer showed up. And so she's completely 100% cancer-free today, and thriving, and it's amazing. And there's been several since then. I see them at all different stages. Some right in the beginning when they find out, some find me midway, some find me maybe even at, like, just speaking of breast cancer, maybe after a mastectomy. And I work on them tail end. It's always the right time when they show up. It's for different reasons. I had worked on a mom once that from the school where my son went, and way too young. I think she was early 30s, 4 children. We did about 12 sessions. We hit in between each chemotherapy session, and it was remarkably we had remarkable things that we didn't expect to happen. Her cancer was gone after 3 chemo treatments, I believe, and 4 Reiki sessions. Her doctor actually asked her to let everybody know what she had been doing. So she made a website about it. She also did acupuncture, clean eating. So they usually are doing a few things.
Yeah.
But I've worked on it over and over and over, and not just breast cancer. Worked on somebody that had brain cancer, lung cancer, all kinds. But the doctors that come are the most interesting.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm like, always wanting to know, how did you know? So I just love the fact that it's opening up a little bit more. I think it has to. I think the word of mouth about what it's done and the possibilities of what it can do or assist with, at least, it can't help. People are going to talk about it. So coupled with acupuncture, it has been really amazing. I've seen it also helps with the illness that they feel afterwards. So, and again, it just goes back to that depletion. When we think of cancer, when they're wiping us out in order to kill the cancer, we're just extremely depleted, and we can't do certain things to build up our immune system, but we can do energy work. So that's where it falls in to, like, that perfect place of being able to help on so many levels.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we'll never know what's actually healing it or what's doing it, but it doesn't matter. It
doesn't really matter. All of the above.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of the above. And I didn't think we were going to go there either, Kerry, to be honest. I don't know why. I just thought, because I feel like there's still naysayers, and I just wanted to speak into that if anybody is listening to the show and, they wanted some concrete evidence. So I wanted to speak into that. But how do your because I know you're married, right? You're married. How does your husband or your family, how do they see you as this profession?
That is such a great question, Jenna. That's actually very funny, too. I think they see me as Kerry still. I wish we could bring my husband in.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah. When I was already doing Reiki for 5 or 6 years before I met him. I'm horrible with timelines and dates. So I was well into it. So it wasn't a surprise. He was a pastor at a church nearby at the time, or like a junior pastor. And so he had questions for me, as did the church. And I don't know if I'll ever be completely used to that or not, but we talked all the way through that. As far as the no dogma attached to it. I think that can be, I know this isn't exactly your question, but that can be a little bit of a holdup for some people, just because we do get lumped into more of a new age type category that, it may or may not be, I'm not sure. I think it's been since the beginning of time. But that was probably the biggest holdup in the beginning. It was just some of the conversations that we had to have around that. But it was amazing what God was sending into my life. I actually had a Christian counselor that was a client of mine that when she came in, she introduced herself. She's like, I'm your Christian angel. God sent me to help you stay in track, stay in line. And it was like, I just started crying. Here is this new client. So I just had so many amazing things that I could, his church wanted to know if I had a Christian counselor. And I literally could say yes, that I did, because I did. And so I think that was the biggest part. And I think that can actually be a hang up. I think we're talking about it today because it can be a hang up for a lot of people that are affiliated with any specific religions, some more than others. And, but he was, I think I can speak to him. He was a, believer essentially when he had plantar fasciitis. And it was an interesting story because there's another surgeon that I worked on that had plantar fasciitis that came to me, and it went away after about 3 sessions. And my husband's went away like the first time I touched him. And he was like, okay, I mean, it's just undeniable, right? And how can it be bad when it's doing something good? And so that's been my biggest part, is always leaning into the light. And then what else happened after that? He had a few other things occur, small things, and it was just worked really well and really, really fast with him. So he was like, okay, gift from God, maybe your born gift, Reiki, I don't know. But he became a complete believer. And then of course, my son, he's gone back and forth. So he's going to be 13. So he's a teenager right now.
Okay.
That's why it's so funny. I was cautious in the beginning because of him, especially like how much I talked about and how much I told, but you really can't hide it. People, my friends know, and there's crystals and sound bowls and things around the house. And I wanted him to be open, but I also wanted him to find his own path with all of it. And so he's pushed back a little bit at different times. He really likes it when I give him massages. But for a few years, he was like, no Reiki, mom, no Reiki, mom. So you dishonor that. I don't know if I can separate it out between the massage for my family and the Reiki's coming out no matter what. But now he's super into it, and even the oils. And so, he pushes back. I'm laughing because he's 13 and he's in that spot right now. But for the most part, when he has the sniffles or anything, he wants me near. And I think they all want their moms near, but there's definitely Reiki going on. So, and also a very sensitive, and can tell me what's up, and he's usually correct. So he's challenging in that way, right?
Yeah.
It's a blessing. However, he's still young. So
yeah.
And I'm glad I get to be his mom, because we don't all get guides with this. I wasn't guided. I'm the first one in my family to be actually doing anything like this. So yeah. And I mean, everybody, they just see me as Kerry. My aunt's very involved. She handles a lot of my marketing and website, and she's my probably biggest cheerleader and believer. But my dad early on went to a Reiki master, my very first Reiki master circle that I assisted with someone. He came with me. So everybody's really supportive.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. They don't talk about it that much, but they're supportive. My brother is the funniest one. He's a PhD scientist, college professor who is an atheist. And so he doesn't believe in it at all. But if I get around him, he definitely wants me to work on his feet or something. So I don't, that's the funniest one.
Wow.
He's like,
so how many siblings do you have?
I just have one, and he's 11 years younger.
Okay. So you're the older sister. Got it.
Yeah. And I was like his second mom, because you can imagine when he was 6, I was 17. And so I was babysitting. Yeah.
So you do, I mean, because you do bring that motherly vibe or feeling, at least that's what I feel. Yeah. And so it's welcoming. It's like you could just, it's like you're falling into like, oh, yay, I'm here,
Good.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So I want to talk a little bit, because what I've experienced, I lay on the table, and then you kind of mentioned it when you're talking about like the sound bowls and the crystals around your house. Like, when you're doing a session, like the whistling and the snapping and like all this, like, what is that all about? Like, I don't ask when I'm in there because I don't care really, but I'm just curious for you to
Yeah.
talk about that now. Like,
So that started happening, I don't think right away in Reiki sessions. And honestly, I don't know if it happens to a lot of Reiki practitioners or not. But they were using my voice in some way. When I say they, I mean my guides.
yes.
And I was finding that there was energy that was coming up. So when we are releasing energy, when life force energy is going into us, there is energy. Sometimes it's being, people ask, well, where is it going? Is it going into me as the practitioner? And it's not. It's being released. Either it goes into the ground essentially to kind of be regrounded and transmuted there, or it goes up almost to the heavens. And some of the denser energy over the years is probably most of the sounds. It's interesting because I don't even really realize that I'm doing it that much anymore. So that's why I smiled when it's like, I wish, yeah, I don't even realize I'm doing it. Like I wouldn't have recalled that I did that in your session, but we're just breaking up, helping or assisting breaking up that denser energy. Some people may call that blocks. It really, to me, and with Reiki, there are no blocks because it's just automatically going to align, your chakra system or your meridians, your nadis, everything that's within you. But there is energy that's coming out or dissipating that's no longer needed in there. And so that's most likely what you're hearing when I do that. There's been some burping that's been going on for the last couple of years. That would be good if that would go away. But that's how I actually do know that that's something that's been happening because I have a woman that works on me and she does the same thing. And it's like, oh, thank God. But that's just what that is. It's just we're just handling a lot of energy, and so we're helping it transmute. Yeah.
It's interesting. I've kind of been burping when we were talking here.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually a little bit concerned I might burp through your interview today, so I'm grateful. I'm sorry that you are. I'm grateful you're not.
I didn't even connect that till right now when you said it. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
But I did do a little something before, like, we came on. So
yeah. Just transmuting energy, getting rid of what you don't need for here, probably.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you get worked on yourself then, Kerry, for Reiki. Okay, with another practitioner that works with you.
Yeah, I've had several. For Reiki, I typically go to one of my very first students, and she doesn't live in the state anymore, so we would just do distance. But I have several people, I call it like my team, and even extended out to chiropractic and lots of other modalities, cranial sacral. But I find that my body responds best to Reiki. And I think that the reason why that is because it is so gentle and I am so sensitive, which typically my clients end up being very similar.
Same. 100%.
Yeah. And so that's what ends up being attracted to me. And it's if we need to transmute energy, some of the other modalities, as beautiful as they are, it's a little too much for my system. And I'll have more of a negative reaction in the beginning. It's going to be good if I sit with it. But time for that sometimes is not always appropriate, So I just have to be cautious what type of work I'm getting when. So I can have Reiki before I were to do a retreat or before I were to do a class. But my cranial sacral and some of the other work that I do for some other reasons, I wouldn't do. I kind of space it out so it's not near any other major class that I'm holding space for, just in case it kind of dredges up some old stuff and it needs to transmute right before, right? So my system handles the Reiki the best. I don't usually have any adverse reactions, and if I do, meaning like a little bit of nausea in the room, or in the treatment room, if it is in the treatment room, or distance, it goes away really, really quick. Yeah.
Do you only offer in person?
No. I started doing more distance, obviously 4 or 5 years ago when we were all at home. However, I'd always done these kind of a little 30-minute sessions for my existing clients. I had several clients that were more high profile and not always able to come down and in person, that had, all sorts of things, anxiety disorders and just all sorts of things that those became conducive for them. So I would do little 30-minute distance sessions. I call them a standard distance session. They're via text, so we don't really talk on the phone. And then in 2020, obviously we all started doing Zoom and phone. Now I don't do very many Zoom. I prefer just the phone sessions, or back to the standard distance sessions, but I do those on the off days. So I'm in my office right now. Currently, it changes, 4 days a week. And so 2 to 3 days a week, I will do my intuitive coaching, which is on the phone, or any distance sessions. And that's why I do it from the home office.
Got it. Okay. So I didn't know what the intuitive sessions were, but now I do, which is on your website. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
and they're a combination. They're just a combination of we're speaking more, and finding and talking about what the issues are while we're sending distance healing, and then usually some homework, some things to be doing until our next call. And that's how that was born.
I love that. Because sometimes maybe people can't get to Laguna,
Absolutely.
And so okay. So then can we share like one piece of homework or something that someone can do from home if they can't, maybe financially have a session with you, for somebody that's listening to be like, okay, well, I do need some stress reduction. What's something that you can talk into or speak about?
Yeah. Well, lately, I think I've been telling most people to go on and just YouTube and listen to frequency music. It's free. And there is a recorded frequency sound healing, for almost every ailment out there. So for anyone that's trying to deal with anxiety or health issues or financial issues, what you name it, there is a sound frequency for it. And we can always pop on headphones and while we're cleaning our house or even just doing our normal work, work on the computer, you can be listening to that for as much time as you have. Usually they're a couple hour sessions, but I think that that's the best freebie for anyone and something that I talk about a lot in the last couple of years.
I love that too, because I'm so audio. What's that?
It doesn't cost anything.
Right. So yeah, YouTube. And I actually went on YouTube yesterday and thought, okay, I'll just Google Reiki and just to kind of prepare for today. And there was a young girl that came up. And so I kind of listened to her videos, and she was like lighting candles and everything on her video. And it was helpful. I mean, it was just kind of like, okay, soothing, because I think it's just sometimes we need to hear somebody speak from a higher perspective on life, versus us staying in storytelling, maybe just higher perspective as to what's going on here.
Yeah, it's for sure. I think that, it's important to know that we're not alone. Oftentimes I think things that we're feeling out there in the world, just funky energy, or, we're feeling stressed out, chances are there's somebody around us that's extremely stressed as well. And so I feel like that's something that's important too, is just to address. Sometimes it's not even ours. So by doing some of these little things, meditating the best of our ability, in the beginning, it's just guided meditation, is so important. So we can kind of separate out from everything else, because we will tell ourselves stories, and, we feel funny this way or funny that way. And all of a sudden we think that we might be dying. And there's always a chance we are, I suppose, but most often we're feeling energy from somewhere else. And that's what else is interesting about the practice, is that I will have consecutively people come in and tell me almost the exact story. And so that's how we know that we are just feeling things, as a collective. We are sensitive beings, and a lot of times it's not ours. So figuring that out is the trick. It's when is it and when isn't it? But that's where Reiki attunements can come in for sure. because you give yourself Reiki, and if it's still there, you're going to end up needing to figure out where it's coming from, right? And separating out. But 9 times out of 10, I think that's why energy works so well, is because we're really just picking up on either the energy of the planet, the energy of the world, the energy out there in the solar system. And we're all feeling a little bit the same way, and being able to just release that and kind of get back to our true natures.
Wow, that's so true. I mean, we're just all so connected.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I was going to ask. Like that was one of our talking points. I feel like is that there's a common thread that you see in your clients, and that I feel is interesting, how you hear the same things over and over again.
There will be. And there's, I have about 4 or 5 different things that I think God likes to bring me, and so it literally will still strike me when it starts to happen again. And then I'll see 3 or 4 people with something similar. And they're generally things that I've gone through. So it's fascinating how that will work. I mentioned the plantar fasciitis. I haven't gone through that, but that was like consecutive. The different types of cancer, those were consecutive. I haven't gone through those, but the younger women with relationship issues, I went through that one. And almost died, which is what brought me to energy healing and the change of life at the time. I have a extensive knowledge of codependency and alcoholism. So I get that, or family members around that, people with dealing with those kinds of things. What else? The sensitivity for sure. We are HSP, I call it, the highly sensitive people or highly sensitive persons. I do work with a lot of women that are highly, highly sensitive, trying to help them navigate what that means and how to deal with it in their lives.
Yeah.
Another thing, and so many others, I'm not even thinking all of them, but when I get those consistent ones that I've been through, and I'm like, okay, you're here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And half the time they're not sent by, it's not a referral, it's just a Google, and super fascinating.
Yeah, super fascinating. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely in that category of the highly sensitive person.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could feel, that's why like I could be in a crowd, but oh my gosh, it's like my whole body is like just feeling everything. It's like I'd rather just leave the situation. I show my face and then I leave the situation. Like I definitely regain my energy when I'm by myself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we fill up.
Yeah. So other than Reiki, oh shoot, my battery is going low on my computer. So other than Reiki, I hope my battery doesn't go low. What do you do for stress relief?
For me?
For you personally?
Oh my gosh, Reiki. Other than Reiki.
Other than Reiki.
So sound healing, the crystals,
Mm-hmm.
clearing and navigating my home. So I'm a big Palo Santo user. I love massages. I think I mentioned that earlier. I mean, I did mention it about me, but I'm a big massage person. Thai massage is a form of energy healing. So I probably get more Thai massages than anyone I know. That's a big one.
Are those the ones where they're stretching you and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Thai massage. Okay.
Chiropractic. I mean, that's a real energy release for me too. And I like the cracking better than I do the devices, but I'll do either one. And I have like 4 or 5 chiropractors around me. Acupuncture, cupping. I just have I have so many amazing practitioners around that are clients or have become friends or vice versa, that I have a very plentiful group of people around me that help support me and my stress on the daily. And I love it all.
Yeah.
It's all good. Drink lots of water, take vitamin C. Oh, a huge oil person. Like I'm the crazy oil lady at this point.
Yes. Frankincense, lavender, that kind of thing.
Well, so when I first got started, it was my very first oil, and all my girls laugh at me, but when I talk about this, because it's always what I talk about, was clary sage. That's another one I can tell. If anyone has any clary sage sitting around their house, it's an oil. It's not sage that we burn. That is also helps with the stress and anxiety and PTSD responses like nothing else. And it's not even really discussed. That's not even widely known for clary sage. Clary sage, if you look it up, is for a lot of other uses, but that is the number one that is a really great one for me if I'm starting to get stressed. It can make you a little sleepy. But if I start to get kind of back into my type A, getting pulled in saying yes too many times,
Yeah.
that is very, very useful for me.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
a lot of other ones for immune support and yeah, you name it.
Clary sage. Well, awesome. I'm going to have you tell everybody where they can find you, because I feel like, Rebel, my battery is going low on and we're 5 minutes out. So
Course,
it's all
yeah.
good. Where can people find you? Where do you want people to message you? Is it your website, or you go ahead and just...
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the easiest way. It's mysticreiki.com. So super easy to find me. It's mysticreiki.com. You can online book with me. My online booking is only open on Saturdays for new clients. But once you are in, we have some other days that you can come see me. And I have other girls at the office too. So I have estheticians that are working there, estheticians that are trained in Reiki. There's another woman that's doing another form of energy healing. So yeah, we have someone is there every day of the week. So something for everybody. And then my Instagram handle is @Mysticreiki. So either way, DM or sign up for to be on the email list to find out of events, whatever works for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Jenna. That was super fun.
Yes. I can't wait to see you again too, and lay on your table and receive Reiki. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I shall see you soon.
Okay.
Before the holiday craze.
Perfect. Sure. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Oh, that was awesome. You guys, check her out, Mysticreiki in Laguna Beach, California. Or like she said, she can take you, do a phone call or a text situation where you can receive Reiki. Mysticreiki.com. Kerry Walker-Collins on Instagram, Mysticreiki. My name is Jenna. And DM me too on Instagram. Let me know what you guys want me to, who you want me to feature, what you want me to talk about. I want to bring you guys some quality content. So until next time, love your body and love your life. Take care. Bye.